Do you ever wonder why you react the way you do? Have you ever reacted to something and almost immediately thought, why the hell did I do that? You said something you didn't mean to say. Maybe you snapped when you didn't want to. Maybe you worried even though you told yourself not to. And afterwards you thought, I know better than this. That moment confuses people because it feels like you weren't in control. And here's the truth most people have never been told. You weren't broken in that moment. You were automatic. Most people think reactions mean something is wrong with them, that they lack discipline, that they're weak, that they should be able to do better. But reaction doesn't come from weakness. Reaction comes from programming, and understanding that can change everything. Inside you are two important parts working together. One part is the ego. The ego's job is simple. It's to keep you safe. It reacts fast. It doesn't pause. It doesn't analyze. It moves before thought. Not because it's bad, but because speed once meant survival. The ego is not your enemy. It's your emergency system. But here's what most people don't understand. The ego does not decide how to react. It reacts through whatever information already exists underneath. That information lives in the subconscious mind. The subconscious is not emotional. It doesn't judge. It doesn't argue. It just stores patterns. It stores beliefs, meanings, identity, what feels familiar. And when something happens in life, the ego reacts through that stored programming automatically. This is the key idea. The ego reacts automatically, but it reacts through whatever programming already exists. If the programming is fear-based, the reaction will be fear. If the programming is scarcity-based, the reaction will be worry. If the programming is calm and stable, the reaction will feel calm. Same ego, different instructions. Dr. Joseph Murphy talked about this using different words. He called it belief. He said belief is a thought accepted as true, not hoped for, not wished for, accepted. Once a thought is accepted as true, the subconscious treats it as instruction, and the ego reacts through it. This is why willpower doesn't work. Willpower tries to stop reaction in the moment, but the moment is already too late. The reaction has already been triggered. Real change doesn't happen in the moment. It happens before the moment ever arrives. Think of your subconscious like a control system. It holds the instructions. The ego pulls from those instructions instantly. That's why telling yourself don't react rarely works. Because the ego doesn't stop to listen. It reacts based on what it already knows. This is also why people say things like, I don't know why I always do that. They do know. They just don't realize the program exists. The subconscious learns through repetition, not logic, not force, not lectures. Repetition. Whatever is repeated emotionally becomes familiar. Whatever becomes familiar becomes safe. And whatever feels safe becomes automatic. That's how programming forms. This is what Murphy meant when he said, whatever you impress upon the subconscious is expressed in your life. The subconscious doesn't decide. It reflects. The ego then reacts through that reflection. Most people try to change life by controlling reactions, but reactions are symptoms. They are not the cause. The cause is the belief system underneath. Change the belief, and the reaction changes automatically. Not by effort, by design. This is why nighttime matters. When the mind is quiet, the ego relaxes. The subconscious becomes open, and what you gently accept as true before sleep often becomes the instructions carried forward. Not magically, naturally. This is also why calm repetition works better than forcing positivity. You're not trying to convince yourself. You're allowing the subconscious to become familiar with a new idea. Familiar becomes safe. Safe becomes automatic. And automatic becomes your new response. The goal is not to eliminate reaction. The ego will always react. The goal is to upgrade what reactions come from, so reactions becomes aligned. They become calm, appropriate, and clear. When that happens, reaction no longer feels like reaction. It feels like a thoughtful response. And that's what mastery looks like. Not controlling yourself, not suppressing emotions, not fighting the ego, but training the system underneath so the right responses happen naturally, without effort. Joseph Murphy called this the treasure within, because once you understand it, you stop fighting yourself. You stop blaming yourself, and you start working with your mind instead of against it. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You have simply been reacting through old programming. And programming can always be updated. It can be updated gently, calmly, deliberately. And you know what? That's where real change begins. I want to thank you for listening. This is Bill Collum, and I'll see you for your next Life Mastery Shift.